Hello and welcome to the Gaming Chronicles. Today we will continue Phantasy Star 3, Generations of Doom. So let's fire it up. Alrighty, in our previous episode, we went through Skyhaven Dungeon. We kind of wandered around, took our sweet time. It was kind of a long episode, but that's okay. So today, let's see, where are we going? Are we going... I think we're going to go to Sage Isle, right? Yeah, I think we're going to Sage Isle. Because we're in Rysel. Rysel. Oh, what I wouldn't give for a pronunciation guide. Yes, I am in Rysel. Rysel. And I don't think there's anybody else here to talk to. Let's just go. Let's move on. Let's not dilly-dally around. Win Rysel. Yes, I know my grandfather saved we saved the whole planet. Alrighty, we're on our way to Sage Isle to talk to the sages and just make sure I do not have the siren shot yet, right? Yep, I do not. Okay. Okay. Alright, Hillbot squad, let's go. Oh, I need to double check just to make sure I equipped the Sword of Orakio. I did. Okay, great. And Kara has the Planar Slicer and the Loon Slicer, which is also great. And here we go! So, after the last episode, I did a lot of blabbing about Phantasy Star theory and a lot of what-ifs. Hold on a second. Hold that thought. And let's see. Is that's Syl, right? Yeah, that's Syl. Did we we went to Shasoran and Ago in Aiden's generation just to take a look-see around, so we won't do that for an Aron's. Oh, nope, wrong island. My bad. My bad. We want to go north. I didn't think I was that far south. There we go. Excuse me. Alright, so what I was about to say is, I was kind of doubting what I was saying about, well, I was doubting my memory about what I had remembered about, like, the timeline itself. I thought, huh, am I right about, well, a lot of things? And it turns out I was not remembering things correctly. Went back to the compendium, and also the, like, the dialogue from the Japanese games. So the Japanese versions of these games, excuse me, has some very distinct differences, especially in Phantasy Star 3, which reveals different information than they do in Phantasy Star 3 English version, or the international version, I think it might have been called, which brings clarity, right, to the timeline, and I had forgotten that, oh yeah, that's right. So anyway, I have been talking this whole time as if the events of Phantasy Star 3 coincided with the events of Phantasy Star 4. I was incorrect in that. and that was actually, I think, an impression among players for a long time. When we were kids and we were trying to put this whole thing together, we were like, well, how does it all work, you know? When did Phantasy Star 3 actually take place versus Phantasy Star 1, 2, and 4? And we had originally thought that Phantasy Star 3 and Phantasy Star 4 coincided. However, that is not the way it is. When the compendium came out, and then when there were translations of the Japanese text from the game available online, it brought a lot of clarity. and that is that the Phantasy Star 3 actually takes place 1,000 years after the events of Phantasy Star 4. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's right. So here's how it works, right? And here's also what was confusing me. So go way back to, let's see, Phantasy Star 2. So the events of Phantasy Star 2, right? Excuse me. Ooh, I better get some water here. Oh, that's better. Oh man, pardon me. So Usis, aka Rolf and Company, they are, you know, they are playing out the events of Phantasy Star 2, and all in the meantime, the Underground Resistance, which was on Palma, right? Which we don't ever know anything about playing Phantasy Star 2. We have no idea what is happening on Palma. But there is a resistance group, an underground resistance, that is the group who, what I'm trying to say is responsible for, or that were they were behind the spaceships, the building of the spaceships, and that I don't remember. I'd have to actually go back to the timeline and to the compendium to get more details on that. But it seems like there still exists this debate, this dichotomy about how many spaceships there were. Like in Phantasy Star 4, right? We learned that when Rika hacks into the crashed spaceships, that there were some tens of ships, right? Let's go ahead and talk to Siren. And Siren finally learns that Leia is not his enemy. Interesting that they gave Siren red hair. On Sage Isle, I found that the Leans are not our real enemies. I am sorry for my mistake. That would be kind of awful. Like, what if Siren had been like Mune and had feelings, and you just after all those years, like even though that Siren was a cyborg, right? Let's see, Squip. I can't do two things at once. So bad at multitasking. Mentally multitasking. Anyway, so Siren had, well, no, he might have had feelings. I mean, maybe he did, because he talks about nursing his hatred for Leans, and he definitely holds a grudge against Ain. So maybe he does in fact have feelings. That's possible. So anyway, he nurses these feelings of enmity, right, for hundreds and hundreds of years. Killing Leans, killing monsters, that's his mission in life, is to just keep the war ongoing until every last Lean is dead. And that's his programming. But at the same time, he has, you know, sentient feelings. And then he finally learns that his whole life has been a lie, if you will, right? His whole programming was based off of a falsehood that, oh yeah, Leans are not really the enemy. And you know, if he has feelings, he would come to the understanding from an emotions perspective that, oh man, this is awful, and that feeling, you know, those feelings could have been what overwhelmed Siren and caused him to collapse. So anyway, going back to the timeline, the underground resistance, right? So in the... Is it the Japanese game text? It's either Japanese game text or the compendium. I can't remember because I had all my translations are just on a very poorly formatted Word document, and it looks awful. And so I can't tell which is the compendium and which is from the game text. I should really, like, you know, format it nicely so I can actually tell where my sources are. But anyway, organization is for organized people. And let's see. We want to let's go ahead and cast res on Mew. That's good. Okay, and it is only with great effort that I can organize my thoughts on paper. So anyway, the point is the resistance, the underground resistance, they're getting ready to, you know, ditch Palma at the same time that Eustace and company are on their errand, on their quest, right? And so then and here's a part that was kind of confusing to me, or that maybe left a question. It says that resistance leaders Oharia Sarik, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Oharia Sarik, and is it Anne or Anna? Anne Lasil, was it? I don't remember. People call this place Sage Isle. Okay, let's talk to these guys real quick. The lost word cannot be revealed until all 5 legendary weapons are gathered together. Okay. You must show us all of the legendary weapons before you can learn Ancient Word of Power. And so anyway, it's important to know, and this is what was confusing me, that these two individuals, Ohario and Anne, or Anna, whatever her name was, they are not Leia and Orakio. That's what, as kids, we thought that Orakio and Leia, we thought, oh, they must have been like the resistance, you know, they must have been the leaders who launched all the ships from Palma, when in fact they weren't. They are now scattered. Okay, we'll talk about that too. To learn the last word, collect all the weapons. Okay, you gotta collect them all. And so that is one point of confusion where I was not remembering correctly. That Ohario, Sarik, and what's her face, and Anne, what is her name? And where's my paper that has her name on it? Where is it? I can't do 2 things at once. Use my D-pad and sort through my binder here at the same time. Oh no, I got ambushed. Aina, A-I-N-A. That's the romanization. Aina Lesil. I hope I'm saying that right. So those were the leaders. Ohario Sarik, and Aina Lesil. They were the resistance leaders, and definitely not the the same people as Orakio and Leia, which is what I had thought all these years. Or which is what I was remembering incorrectly all these years. I had sorted it out when the compendium came out, and you know, it's kind of funny. I specifically studied Japanese in college so that I could learn what the stupid compendium said, and you know, the Japanese game text. That was my whole foundation for studying and learning the Japanese language. And then, ironically, not ironically enough, but in a very cool twist of fate, if you will, when I got married, my father-in-law actually found out that he spoke Japanese, which was a neat little coincidence. I have never told him or anybody the real reason why I studied Japanese. That will always remain a secret, unless, you know, to anybody who watches this episode or goes to the grave with me. But anyway, that was the whole foundation of me learning Japanese, was to learn how to read the compendium of Phantasy Star, because I wanted to know. back when it came out in 1994, and fast forward 10 years from that, 2004, there were no resources on the internet to really help me out to figure out what it said. It was available online that you could like read it, but basically people were like, here's the compendium, if you want to read it, good luck. So I'm like, well, I need to learn how to read Japanese. Little did I know how difficult that would be to learn how to read. Not speaking Japanese, I would say, is difficult for someone who, let's see, we need to go to Iridia. For someone that, let's see, we can just go south, right? And then there's an airstrip. Okay, yeah, there's 2 airstrips there. Okay. My bilingualism is between English and Italian, and so since those are Western languages, Eastern languages, or Asian languages definitely do not come easily for me. I found that speaking Japanese was far easier, not easy, but far easier than reading and writing. Like learning the let's see, where's the airstrip? Okay, there it is. I was gonna say, I thought I was close. So reading and writing Japanese, because of the fact that it's symbolic based, it's not phonetic based. That there is like the katakana, which helps with like romanized words, but generally speaking, you memorize everything. And so it's like, okay, I have to memorize everything. Yeah, that was very difficult. So anyway, but I was committed. I wanted to learn how to read it, and so that was the basis of it. Anyway, so now that we've straightened that out, that it was Ohario and Aina that were the resistance leaders. They're the ones that ultimately led the resistance. And in the text, it alludes to the resistance leaders Ohario and Aina. They cut off their spaceship's remote control from Mother Brain. So at one point, Mother Brain was connected to all of these world ships, these spaceships. Whether it was 40 or 400, it doesn't matter. There were still a lot of them, right? And so the somehow they succeeded in connecting or disconnecting them from Mother Brain. And that begs a lot of questions. We won't go there. That's a whole other can of worms. Let's talk to Mune here. The Black Sword, you returned. Poor Mune. You gotta feel for her. She's been wandering the desert, damaged, half crazy, and she just wanted to see her master one more time. And then she was probably overcome with emotion as well and collapsed. Very sad. It always makes me think of that illustration, that fan illustration in the moment that Mew kneels down and picks up the claw from a collapsed Mune, and I can't just help to think that, man, that was probably a very, for Mew, not just Mune, but Mew, to be a very emotional moment, since she has emotions and she can feel and probably have sympathy and empathy and all that stuff. Alright, so now we're going to go, we're going to go to, Aquatica, right? We're going to go back to Sage Isle, and then to Draconia to pick up the Royal Bandana in Draconia, in Endora, and then do our waltz over in Terminus, and then back to Frigidia. And yeah, so let's go. Anyway, so going, so now that now that my memory has been jogged, by going back to my, my wall of text that I need to reformat, we can consider that, okay, now that we know that Leia and Orakio, mentioned in the beginning of this game, they came 1,000 years after the events of Phantasy Star 2. So the Orakio-Leian Wars concurred at the same time Phantasy Star 4 did. So that would mean that when so going back to Phantasy Star 2 real quick, that would mean when Dark Force was defeated by Eusis and company, it is likely that that particular Dark Force entity, because we know that, you know, the Dark Force is a manifestation of the profound darkness, blah blah blah, and so where does this go? This goes to Draconia, right? Yeah, so let's remember that. We'll just boat down here and then dock there. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so, that Dark Force that was on Noah was the Dark Force entity or manifestation which snuck onto board of one of the spaceships, right? That makes sense. Because it said that Ohario and... Doesn't it say somewhere that Ohario and Aina, they did try and... they tried to defeat Dark Force but failed? I can't remember. But anyway, that's the Dark Force that we can kind of connect that would have snuck on aboard one of the ships, and eventually over time destroyed all of the ships except the Neopalm and the Elisa 3. How are we on health? We're good on health. I'm glad that those Caliphs are have fairly low defense, because man, yeah. Okay, anyway, and so, you know, Dark Force, the Dark Force that, you know, Rolf and company defeated sneaks on board one of the ships, and then everything, you know, and then the great collapse occurs in the Algo system. People are, you know, scrambling to figure out how to survive on Motavia. Palm's been blown up. Now, one thing, the compendium does specify that, let's see, your anti is 12, yours is 14. Come on. Do I have any antidote? No, I don't. Seriously, this is dumb. An anti of 14 shouldn't take that long to cure poison, just saying. There we go. Alright. Okay, let's go Healbot crew. So where were we? In our blabberings. I don't remember exactly. Oh, the Great Collapse, yeah, in Phantasy 4, yeah, in Algo, people are starting to figure out how to survive. Of course, Ren, not this Ren, but the other Ren in Phantasy Star 4 that we know and love. Oh, wait, hold that thought. Who knows if your puny weapons are enough? Well, thanks for the pep talk, bro. All the legendary weapons have been gathered for the first time in 1,000 years. Yeah, about that. I still want to know what that means, right? If that's just... If someone just threw that in to make it interesting, or if that has significant meaning, right? You are worthy to hear the ancient word spoken. The ancient word of power is the word nay. Now, why is it nays? I still ask that. I wonder if my command of the Japanese language... Now, we now give the grants technique to Mew. Still don't know anything about it. I mean, really, all we know is that about grants is that it gives the Mew the ability to, you know, teleport the party out of the chute. I couldn't think of the name of the town, city, place, and that's it, right? That's all we really know. And so we don't know why it was given to Mew. Why wasn't it given to Ren or Aron, you know? Whatever, it doesn't matter. There we go. Alright, more levels, more levels. So going back to the destruction of Palma, right? The companion makes it clear that it was due to the satellite. Is it Gaila? Gaira? Gaila, I think. I don't think. Well, the Japanese language doesn't have a distinction of, well, you know, liquids. It uses R, the ra sound, but since L is a, you know, it is a liquid as well. And anyway, I'm not going to get into linguistic stuff. But it's been said, I've heard it said Gaila, I've heard it said Gaira. We'll just call it Gaira. Gaira, because that's, I think, what it would be more closely. So the Gaira satellite, it crashes into Palm and causes it to blow up. Now, if we think about this from a practical perspective, and this is where my, I guess, disagreement comes in, is that a surface impact of an object would have to have created. Oh, whoops! We don't want to be in airplane mode. We want to be in boat mode. So the surface impact would have had to create such a devastating impact on the, you know, on the crust of the planet, right? The actual plate tectonic system and all that's geographical or geological stuff. Yeah, that it would have fractured the planet and caused the planet to break up and dramatically explode, dramatically do so, because it's described as Palm blowing up. I mean, that had to have been an enormous force for that to for the planet to have splintered the way that it did, right? We're on Draconia, right? Yeah. So, which way do we go for the airstrip? I'm gonna get my map so I don't. I think we have to go north, right, along this place, along this bank. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because we have to go to Andorra anyway. Derp. And anyway, so unless Gaira caused such an enormous impact, you know, like, I don't know, 100 nuclear weapons. I don't know how much of a force, you know, of a satellite crashing into a planet that would take. My knowledge of, you know, physics and science isn't, you know, that advanced to think of that off the top of my head. But it would seem to me that it would require an enormous impact force to be able to accomplish that. You know, like along the lines of, you know, slamming into the planet so hard that it like went through the crust. I don't know. But it would seem to me that the that a fleet of, what am I doing? I need to go to Andorra. That a fleet of spaceships, large spaceships, and dang it, I thought I was gonna I thought I was gonna be on the south side of that airstrip. My bad. Whether it was 40 or whether it was 400 spaceships, and now I was on that the launch of those spaceships would have caused the planet's you know, cracking, and maybe it was simultaneous, maybe it was both, right? Because you have to think whether it was 40 or 400, and 40 would probably be a more practical number. That a dragon will help those. Oh, this is Techna. No, this is Endora. There. Getting confused. Because I can't mentally multitask. Anyway, you know, just going back to that force that the spaceships would cause. Yep, and that poor old dragon died on his last flight, taking Ain and his party over to Tekna. Okay, let's get a royal bandana. Spend 23,000 Meseta to increase our defense by 3. It's Mew? No, I gave it to Kara, that's right. Oops. Equip. Anyway, yay, +3 defense. That's an average of like 7. Well, let's see here, 7.6 thousand ish per defense point. That's expensive defense right there. Oh mama. All right, let's go ahead and sell some items we don't need. Let's see, we want all of that. We want the, oops, sell the royal email. Why is the royal bandana here? Do they just want you to come to, you know, make sure that you touch on all 7 of the worlds in the last generation? Is that it? I mean, that's cool and all, but it's like, why? Sell Mew. Royal sword. Nope, sell. And the Vulcan. I think they specifically give you these items on Sage Isle to help you afford your endgame gear. There's really no other reason to have like the Royal Shield. There's no reason to have it. Same thing with like the Royal Emo. You're not gonna equip those pieces of gear. You're just not. Let's see. Okay, we're good. Now, oh, let's wander on over to Tekna. I'm curious about something. If I remember correctly, we'll find something curious, and kind of silly. So let's go over to, let's get on the airstrip, change into an airplane, and we're gonna go to Tekna. Alrighty. So I don't remember if we established this. Well, we'll find out. Well, there's an NPC in here, I think, that says it. I think it's this guy, actually. Yep. Beneath this world dome is our ship's engine. We're the descendants of the ship's technicians. I don't remember if he says that in the 2nd generation or not. But anyway, let's take a detour to the. Let's see. I don't think there's anybody in town. Is there? I don't think so. I think it's just that guy. So yeah, Tekna, of course, technicians. They're the ones that maintain the engines. Oh, hello. The Castle of Power is a good name for Tekna. Thank you, ma'am. I'm just glad there's more than one NPC in a town. It's just nice to see that there are people walking around that we can talk to. These empty villages and cities are just weird. Okay, so let's go to the basement of Tekna. Because now I think I do remember this map. Just take the right side all the way over here, then go down to the stairs. So anyway, Where were we on talking about? Did I say all the thoughts that I had to say? I think so. Anyway, yeah, just my own opinion about how Palma exploded, right? So, one chirper. Oops, it's this one right here. My bad. And I've been ambushed by one chirper. Yeah, if you come here in the 3rd generation, every single encounter is one chirper. It's kind of funny. It's even funnier to me if they get ambushed by them, because they can still do damage to you. Like if they ambush you and cast Graw, they can do like 1 to 2 damage to you. It's kind of funny. Anyway, I found it highly amusing that it's just always one chirper no matter what. But let's go over to see. Let's go see if we can visit Azura. Yeah, because Azura is where Siren was, right? Yeah. Anyway, if the force of all those spaceships taking off, plus the impact of Gyra, maybe that. So maybe it was the. So here's what makes more sense to me. The ships, ignite their engines, they take off. That would have disrupted the planet's crust right there enough, I think, to cause massive earthquakes across the planet. They didn't think that one through, and maybe they didn't care, because they're like, you know what, this might very well, destroy the planet, but you know what, we've got to get away from Dark Force, we got to hightail it out of here. So check it out. There is no shuttle. Why is there no shuttle? Well, we will actually find out in the generations of Chris and Sean. So yeah, there's a very specific reason why the shuttle is not there. We will learn that later. So anyway, we'll return to resume course, fighting single chirper battles on the way. Anyway, yeah, so that just makes more sense that, and add to that, the spaceships likely were, they were likely built, in the ground, or maybe even underground, because ships on that scale of a size probably would have been easier to build using the Earth itself, right, as kind of a structure setup. To help support the framework or whatever. So it would have made sense if the ships were built at least partially underground, and that would have added to the duress that the planet's crust would have felt with all of these, whether it's let's say the 40 ships, 400 ships, doesn't matter, 40 ships, world-sized ships taking off, and causing an enormous seismic activity. And then it's very, not just possible, but very probable that shortly after takeoff is when Gyra crashed into the planet, because Tyler had already saved Rolf and company, and had taken them safely back to Pazeo, right? Yeah, in the previous episode I said Piata. It was Pazeo. And he kind of mentions what was happening. Like, oh yeah, Gyro was on course to crash into Palma, and he kind of explains us everything after the fact of what happened. Where are we going now? We're going to Terminus. And so the two events probably, took place almost, maybe not at the same minute, but, very close to each other, like, within the same day, or very close there, too. Let's see, we're looking for... There's the temple. Where's the airstrip? Airstrip, where are you? Oh yeah, that's right. It's a little ways over here. Is there anybody in Lensel? I wonder. So yeah, anyway, I think that's it. I think that's about the extent of my own theorizing. What makes sense to me, because it's hard to imagine just a satellite crashing into a planet and blowing it up, right? It's not like it has the power of a Death Star laser, right? At least I don't think. Hello, sir. We welcome you to Lensol, travelers. Thank you. So then anyway, right, so they escape. Ohario and Aina, I think that they survive. But whether or not they do, they see, is there anybody in the castle? They are able to go and you know, they managed to get the fleet out of orbit, at least most of it. We know that at least one crashes on Motavia. Rulakuro is Orekio's twin brother. I think this guy says the same thing as he does in the second generation, right? The Eastern Cave is home to monsters and cyborgs. There's something beyond the cave. Oh, that's right. He's alluding to Terminus. That's right. I think I established that in Aiden's generation. I think we already said we already came here. Anyway, I think we did. It's truly hard to remember. We've always assumed our enemies were Leyan, but I think we've been wrong all these years. Yep, everyone's been wrong. Honest mistake. It's a pretty big honest mistake, but honest mistake. Alright, so just a couple of people in Lensol. Let's see. And is there anything else I was thinking about that I wanted to blab about? Wrong way. We just came from the airstrip. We don't want to go back on it again. Okay. Let's see. The spaceship's taking off. Rolf and company. And let's see. So the events of Phantasy Star 2 passed. The fleet of ships, of world ships, successfully flees from from the. Actually, we just cast Girez. Flees from the system. So then Dark Force is defeated, and the Dark Force aboard the Noah is defeated, but it slips on. That's the one that slips on board one of the ships, and we actually get that from the clue book. That it confirms that yes, this is the same Dark Force, or we could say the same manifestation of Dark Force, right, that we fought in Phantasy Star 2. So that's confirmed there, and then slowly over time, that Dark Force, over the next 1,000 years, basically starts destroying the ships one by one. So over the course of 1,000 years, it destroys every one of the ships except the Neopalm and the Eliza 3, which goes to show that Dark Force truly doesn't manifest itself only every 1,000 years. It manifests itself in a form that can be subdued or defeated every 1,000 years. Because its presence... why don't you rest a bit in this city of Lashute? Well, I would love to if you moved out of the way. And so that seems to be more of a truism than the fact that it just shows up every 1,000 years, because you know, a dark force creates havoc no matter where we are in the timeline, right? Oh, thank you for moving, sort of. And so anyway, we'll just do our walkthrough of Lachute, just like we normally do. Oreikio's twin brother Rulokir is king here. And you know, it makes me wonder, because that's, you know, how did Dark Force destroy all those spaceships? How did it happen? Was it through civil war, like on the Elisa 3? Did he cause spaceships to fight each other, like the Elisa 3 and then the Neopalm? I think it's the Neopalm. That we destroyed, or maybe it was another one, and the Neopalm's still out there. Anyway, so it's like, how many people died on all these spaceships? I mean, that's an awful tragedy if you think about it. You know, the Elisa 3 and possibly the Neopalm are the only ships that have Palman survivors that remain. You know, of course, there's the descendants that live now on Motavia, that descend from the Palman colonists, but as far as the people that fled Palma, it's a very small percentage left, and so that's awful. How much destruction that the entity of Dark Force can cause. And then, of course, it wasn't until Oreikio and Leia figured it out, after their generation had been warring as well, that they figured out, oh, waves of blackness wash over you. Man, I really wish there was more. That, whatever. And then Oreikio, of course, sealed that manifestation of Dark Force in the sunken temple, and that's raises questions. It's like, okay, I think I mentioned that in the previous episode, maybe. It's like, okay, the sunken temple, was it always sunken? and if so, why? Was that just like a project? Like, did they build a temple in the middle of like a little isle, and then all of a sudden it wasn't structurally sound, it sunk? They're like, uh-oh, well, we'll just leave that down there in the bottom of the lake. Like, what happened there? Anyway, Oreikio seals Dark Force with his sword, which obviously would have had to have some kind of special power to it. Black Blade and everything, the ability to seal the manifestation of Dark Force, or I should say a manifestation of the profound darkness, really, because that's what it is, in a physical location, or maybe in some like alternate dimensional location. Either way, he was stuck, and it took Dark Force a while, right, for his influence to spread, and that's where we question ourselves as far as, when did Lachute excuse me, when did Lachute start gaining its power exactly again to start influencing the world for evil? Because we know that this city, right now, as we speak, it's the one that has been sending the monsters and the cyborgs out to attack everybody, under the influence of Dark Force. So, when exactly did Lachute regain its power? When did the seals on the domes weaken to the point that Dark Force and also Lachute could gain influence once again and start executing their evil plan? And what part did they play in and again, what part did they play in let's see, where is that? Okay, yeah. Well, in what I'm trying to say, in Maya, right? In Maya washing up on the shore of Landon, and were they part of that? Were they part of, you know, Lyle? Oh crap. Oh well, that's fine. 64 damage. Yeah, that's why we don't like to fight Goat Kings. They give a lot of experience, but boy oh boy, they hit like trucks. And they actually kind of have freaky, I think they might have one of the most animated combat movements. Like, they actually move like their whole bodies. Anyway, the Goat Kings, the goat mobs, they're powerful and scary. I don't like running into them. Okay, and we are back on Frigidia. Hooray! Alright. More kill sats. That's alright. Kara might be able to clean house. Alright, yeah. Nice work, Kara. Okay, here we go. Hold on, let's yeah, let's get some armor. Because we should have a little bit of Meseta built up, right? Yeah, we got a little bit of Meseta built up. We can buy a couple of pieces of armor before we have to grind. So in fact, let's do this. Work. Oops. Well, we gotta cast it on the right person. There we go. Let's go to the armor shop. We don't have any of the endgame armor, right? I just wanted to make sure that I'm not making double purchases. The Conan armor, steel protector, steel vest, okay. Steel robe, and Fiblera. Okay, yeah, we don't have any of the endgame stuff. Let's go ahead and buy this to protect Leia. Yes. We want the vest for Mew. Yes. And royal robe for Kara. Is that first generation? The steel vest? Or is that second generation? I think that's first generation stuff. Dang. It's crazy that lasted us so long. Let's see, steel robe. Yeah. Leia. Okay, no, not for now. Nope, not Ren. There we go. Okay, and so we've got 20. How much Meseta do we have? We have 12,000. So I need 80,000, right? Yeah. So I need 80,000 Meseta minus the 12,000, so that's about 68,000 Meseta that we need to grind out. So let's do this. We'll go ahead and save and call the episode. And then in the next episode, what we will do is we'll go to Skyhaven, we'll get our weapons empowered, and then we'll go into the dungeon and we'll grind out the 68,000 that we need. And I want to make, and I want to do this on screen during the episode to illustrate and highlight the awesomeness of the fast forward button, because of how much time it saves in grinding out Meseta. Makes life so much easier. So anyway, until our next episode when we go to Skyhaven and continue on. So long for now.